All right. Well, welcome everybody to the February 20th, 2023 Caroline County Broadband Advisory Committee meeting. We'll go ahead and call everything to order. David has a copy of the agenda up here on the screen. David, if you just want to scroll through just so that everybody can take a look at it and make sure there's no amendments to the agenda that we have to do.
All right. Give me just a second here. Jason, I guess the update on Starlink, you're just going to bring up what you discussed earlier, and that'd just be like a one-line update.
Yeah, it's just going to be a quick update.
Notice that I did go ahead and send out the invites, and I know this is kind of out of order, but we're talking about the next dating time and format. I did 3 every third Monday through the remainder of the year anyway, and sent those invites out, and we can adjust them as necessary once we get there. That way we have a hard set date and everybody's aware of it. So other than that,
I think it looks good.
That's the whole agenda.
All right. Anybody need to make amendments to that agenda, or everybody good with it?
I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
All right.
Second.
All right. Properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. Agenda stands. All right. And we've gone ahead and pushed the minute reading over to the YouTube channel. So we've gone ahead and pushed past that. So if we want to scroll down to old business. All right, we'll start with railroad crossings.
So under railroad crossings, the attorneys are back and forth. Again, I think that's the same report that we had a month ago. Not unexpected when it comes to dealing with the legal teams on both sides. So CSX is in negotiations with Caroline County to accept the plan as submitted. So, or come up with a plan that can be presented to the board that's acceptable to both sides to move forward. So, again, we haven't heard any change on this. I do follow up at least once a week, and there's still no change. So at this point, by next meeting, I will get in touch with the attorneys and see, if we can kind of push that forward. But for now, there's no change in the status of the railroad crossings permits with CSX.
All right. And I know you've been waiting for this one, David. Do you want to give an update on VATI 2021?
All right, let me see if I can find that document and open it up. Give me just a second here, Jason. All right, so what I'm sharing to the public now and to the group is the press release that was put out by Caroline County on February the 13th, a week ago today. I actually received a call late Friday night of the prior week, notifying me at about 4:30, 4:45, that the entire VATI 2021 construction had been completed. That means that all of the main lines to the houses have been completed, or main line, not to the houses, but the main line to transport fiber throughout the system has been completed. Individual drops are being built as ordered, but the project construction is complete. So I'll just read through this real quick. A project to extend fiber for 63.3 miles. Just a note, that's end up being about 4 miles, roughly more than what we had applied for. So we got an extra 4 miles of fiber out of the deal. To make broadband internet available to 487 houses. That's a few more than what we had discussed. Addresses along portions of Ladysmith, Balti, Panola Road, and Route 17 east and west of the town of Port Royal has been completed. Now, I will say that of those 487 homes, there's another 9 in the Port Royal area that are built but not spliced because the property owner decided not to allow them on the property to splice his house, which also killed connection to 9 more houses down the street. We're hoping that that will eventually be worked out. The problem is that once the construction teams and all leave, it's not going to be as efficient or as quick as it would have been had he allowed them on the property initially. But that's just an issue that at this point we're going to, leave it up to him. Hopefully he'll make the right decision for his neighbors, and between him and his neighbors, they can work it out. But it's totally up to him whether he wants to allow them back on the property to do the splicing necessary. I would say that as we look at possible projects coming up down the road, in 2023, we may run into this again, because again, that project is about 10 times the size of this project. No, or more than that, 20 times the size of this project, roughly. So we'll run into some more of this down the road. Just be cognizant that even if you're not interested in internet now, keep in mind that the lack of internet is going to decrease the value of your property for resale. And it will also interfere with your neighbors also getting internet. So as 2023 kicks off it's going to be included in the RFP that the company doing the construction is going to be required to get these easements instead of Breeze Line trying to get the easements. But that will be part of the actual design and implementation. So it'll be earlier in the process than this one was. So hopefully we can get those easements signed and get everybody connected. By doing that, we hope to eliminate some delays as construction starts. They were very efficient, very quick to get this built. So we want the same, if not more efficiency next time, because again, 20 times the size of this project. So it's a really large project that we're looking at if approved. Caroline County collaborated with internet service provider BreezeLine to successfully apply for a Virginia Telecommunications VATI grant in 2021 that made this project possible. The grant application included a Caroline contribution of approximately $614,400. Interestingly enough, the $614,400 will be the contribution, even though 487 to 496 homes could be served. So we ended up with a few more for the same price. BreezeLine, if they're building the project and goes by a house that may not have been under construction when the project was approved, they intend to, if at all possible, continue to offer the service to that new house that popped up. Just take take note of that shortcut, the https://events.breezeline.us/VATI. That is VATI 2021. And if you go to that link, it's actually overlaid over Google Maps, and it has every location that service was added during that 2021 project, so they can get updates. If they go there now and click on it, it should say that construction's complete, and now they're okay to place the order through BreezeLine Sales. That's the big holdup, was that until construction was complete, if they called sales before the completion of the project, sales was confused because they did not have those addresses as being serviceable. Now that construction is complete, those addresses should be listed in the BreezeLine database as being serviceable, and it should be a lot less confusion if citizens call. Citizens who reside in the designated project areas should contact BreezeLine at 844-574-8435 if they're interested in signing up for broadband service. Now, I'll repeat that number, 844-574-8435. That's the BreezeLine sales number. They should be able to get you set up. And we'll go a little bit more. Jason Barlow has some pictures of another install that we'll go through, just so that members of this committee and interested members of or citizens of the county will know what to expect if they do place that call. Making reliable high-speed internet service broadband available to every home and business in Caroline County remains a top priority for the Board of Supervisors. In August 2022, Caroline County submitted a fiscal year 23 application to the VATI grants to the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development. If awarded, the additional grant funds will enable the county to achieve universal coverage and make broadband internet service available to every home and business in Caroline County. The county hopes to learn whether fiscal year 2023 VATI grants have been successful sometime in the first quarter of 2023. And if you're like myself and Jason Barlow, we were hoping to learn this back in December. That is the date that is still listed on DHCD's website. So they are obviously running behind. Now, I get a lot of requests for information based on that. People looking at the website saying, hey, we were supposed to hear in December. We haven't heard. We have not heard good nor bad. So it's not like we've heard and we're just not letting it out. As soon as that announcement is made, whether it is good news or bad news, we will make everyone on the committee and probably hold a special meeting just to cover it. So as of right now, we have not heard anything. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing on this screen, Jason, so you can run through your update on the 21
Okay.
install.
Yeah, it's funny. So you got to allow me to share. It says, I hope it says disabled it. You just don't want me to share.
There you go.
Perfect. It's funny. I'm actually on the VATI website as we speak, was trying to get latest information, but yeah, there's nothing new out there. So can everybody confirm that they can see my screen now?
I can.
Okay, perfect. So this is somebody that was installed. I know last time we went over somebody inside of the Port Royal district. I believe, David, you took some photos of that installation. These are photos taken by somebody on the Panola Road side that is currently going through the installation and hookup, and they are live right now with the high-speed internet. With fiber to the premises. So as you can see, you have, this is pre-run of the fiber because this is your pull tape coming out of the conduit, out of the ground. They do use a vibrating trencher, so that way they're not destroying your ground and actually cutting it into the ground. It actually vibrates and puts the makes a much smaller, neater, cleaner installation with less backfill that is needed.
Jason, if I could add,
yep.
I have had a few questions about where they're going to come into the home. Generally speaking, unless something has changed, they generally try, if you go back to the first picture, they generally try to come in where the power and the telephone interface is. So this would be a very typical installation. So when you're looking around the house trying to get an idea where that entry would be made, that's generally where it's going to go. So if you need it somewhere else, you definitely need to work with the installers when they come out or do your serviceability study. So generally speaking, right in between the telephone and the power is where we're going to try to come.
And that's a great segue into this next picture, because this shows the actual fiber line being run through the conduit in the ground. Again, near you have your telephone here. Power was over to the left. This is the junction box outside of the individual's house, showing where BreezeLine had actually installed and terminated fiber for the Panola Road and or the Panola Road side of the project, and it actually run the line back to their house. So these are the little green pedestals that you see out there.
And if you wonder what all the cable wound up in there is for, that's a service loop. In case the cable gets damaged, it gives them some extra fiber that they can pull back and make a repair. So underground damaged fiber does happen. So rather than have that fiber damaged and not enough cable to make a repair, they pull extra.
And what I'm doing is I'm actually zooming in on the interface for the fiber line. This one strand of yellow line that is coming out is actually your fiber line going back to your house. So this is actually the junction box where it actually gets basically plugged in on the BreezeLine network. So this is a direct fiber line running from your house into BreezeLine. It's not a hybrid where it is a mixture of medians, that being fiber and coax cable. It is fiber all the way into the premises. And if I go down to the next picture, you can actually see where they ran a drill up through the floor into the house to actually terminate it. This actually shows continuing the outside portion of the install. Here's the fiber line running into the house. And here's the outside junction box that's been put in for the fiber. And then this is the overall install inside of their house for fiber. So you can see here that the line is coming up, terminating inside of the box with a fiber optic cable plug that runs back over and plugs into the actual network box that's provided by BreezeLine, that at this point you would tie it into your network to service your house or residence or business. This person did have wireless enabled actually on this box. So they were able to use both wireless and wired. I can't speak to everybody's speeds, but I can, the speed that they test that they ran was around 500 megs over wireless. And I got a text message not too long ago that they plugged in network cable, so it was hardwired in, and they were getting about 700 megs. This person works out of their house on a regular basis and does photography, and used to have to go to somebody else's house to be able to do her work, to upload photos, and now actually did a test upload of these photos to me, and it took about 10 seconds. 9 seconds to drop these files up to the internet, so that way we could present them tonight. So I know in this area it was very, very spotty to even have a hotspot of any type, whether it be Sprint, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, any of those. It was very, very shoddy and spotty based on what was available. And even telephone calls were even spotty at best. And now with enabling Wi-Fi calling on their cell phone, they're able to make and receive calls without a problem, and do their work actually out of their residence.
Jason, can you zoom in on that modem just a little bit? Okay, so in talking to the installer, you notice that you have power, broadband service, Ethernet. Phone is not lit up. This customer did not get phone service. Currently over this service is being offered by BreezeLine. Internet and phone service are available. Broadband TV streaming TV tied back to BreezeLine will be available through their system later this year, I'm understanding. And if you could zoom out just a little bit. From what I understand, that second port up there, the second, is that's your phone port. So if you had a phone, it will be connected there. So it's important to note that you have one Ethernet port coming off of that modem. And if you have phone service, it would plug into the gray one to the left.
And this one right here is actually plugging into the Wi-Fi distribution area here. But if you wanted to run this into an existing network that you have at your house, you could plug this Ethernet into that device to be able to use that inside of your house. So,
and interested parties should discuss it with BreezeLine, but that's a Wi-Fi 6, part of a mesh network. And so larger houses can have multiple of those antennas. And because they're Wi-Fi 6, they all sync back. And the entire Wi-Fi experience is manageable through an app on a cell phone, both Apple and Android. So
do they set you up with an account for that app and the entire contract at this point, or has that already been done?
When they do the install and they leave there, you will have the app on your phone and it'll be operational.
And that's where you'd view your bill and that kind of stuff?
I believe so. I believe it's all in one spot, Jason.
Gotcha. Just trying to get an idea about the affordable connectivity plan piece of that as well.
Yeah, and I think that's I think once you have the service, if you're eligible, if you have a child in Caroline County Public Schools, you're eligible for that credit, and that's handled separately. So it may show on the app, but I don't know. I don't think you'll be able to submit those forms through that app. You remember that there was a special website that you had to go to apply, and then you get that number. Now you may be able to enter that number. I'm just not sure at this point.
It probably links to your account page, or maybe there's more account services that it redirects you to the browser or something. But yeah, well,
good. But it's very, very easy, and you've already gone through that process and was successful, correct?
On Verizon, right? But yeah, we want to do it with BreezeLine once we, at some point. So we'll have that knowledge. Yeah.
All right, Jason, I'm sorry I interrupted.
All right.
No, you're good. That's pretty much it. That's all the photos that I've got at this point in time. Does anybody want me to go back to other photos or the outside conduit box to see what that looks like?
Just to divide it up, when they come out and do the serviceability study, they'll determine where the fiber's going, and then once they determine where the fiber's going, the first contractor will come in and install the orange conduit with the pull string that you saw earlier. And then he leaves. And then the installer, when he gets there, will actually pull that fiber through that conduit using the pull string and complete the installation into the house. So it's a multi-step process, but it is one that should be fairly straightforward now, that the addresses have been released. You should be able to place that order without an issue.
So here's the pull string that you were talking about.
Just make sure that if you call them and place this service, that you are in that VATI 2021 project area. And that website that I showed earlier, it's on the press release. That will confirm that your address is listed in that area. Now, if you live on a street and all your neighbors around you have it, but yours is not, it's possible that your address was dropped on the application, or you may have a new house that was built after the application process started way back in 2020. but then you should still be serviceable. So again, that website's going to tell you whether you're eligible for this. The next phase, if 2023's approved, then it'll be a much larger project area. So we'll have a lot more houses. But I will say that Breezeline has been extremely cooperative throughout the entire process. We meet with the project manager over the installation once a week. We're still meeting, even though the construction's done. They've already started an internal review of the entire process, start to finish, and learning from things that they could do a little differently to make the next project more efficient, which is very positive. And it's fairly amazing that they were able to get. So we ended up finishing February the 14th, let's just say. February 1st was the deadline. So we were about 2 weeks behind completion. But you got to remember that this was during a pandemic when they were having trouble getting connectors, nuts, bolts, just simple hardware. The Calyx units, like the modems and stuff that you see inside that house, and the other end of that fiber is Calyx as well. All that was extremely difficult to get during the pandemic because of supply chain problems. But because of their project manager, he was able to go ahead, and what they did have, they worked on ahead of time. Stuff got out of kind of sequence because they were putting fiber in and conduit in before they had pedestals to cover them with. So, but he made the decision early on, knowing that there was going to be a challenge through the supply chain to get what he could get done. And that way, we wouldn't be right now putting conduit in and fiber in, as everything started showing up. So there were some parts that if you back off that just a little bit, for example, one of the most difficult parts for him to get during the entire project was that pedestal, that actual light green with the metal frame. And then there's a light green cover that goes down over that. Couldn't get them anywhere. They just didn't exist. They were turning them out of the factory as quick as they could, 6 months to even up to 9, 10, 12 month lead times on those. So it was an extremely challenging time. I don't think any future projects are going to be any better, not necessarily because of supply chain and COVID that affected this one, but it'll be supply chain just because of the fact that there's so much fiber going in right now. There's still going to be some challenges getting parts and pieces. Breezeline has already started lining up as much as they can ahead of time to prepare for any large projects that they have. So hopefully we've all learned from this project, and hopefully the next one will be even smoother.
All right, you want me to pass the ball back over to you?
Yep, if you would.
All right, ball's coming your way.
All right, give me just a second to switch back to our agenda. All right. All right, so if we look, can everyone see the agenda?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we are down through updates on VATI 2021. Jason, I think you had mentioned that you had just a very short update on Starlink.
Yeah, there was a brief update that I wanted to give on Starlink. So Starlink is continuing to roll out units in our area. We are still on the waiting list. I did look up and did some research on the data cap that they were talking about put in place. That has been going on where 1 month they'll say, oh, yes, we're going to put it in next month. They've been sliding that off. And right now, the latest thing that I'm seeing, according on Starlink's website, is it would be sometime in March or April that they would actually be rolling out the 1 terabyte data cap. Now, when I say that that's a data cap, doesn't mean they shut you off at 1 terabyte. What that means is you have priority traffic up to 1 terabyte. If your satellite or your area is not under heavy load, then you will continue to operate with the higher speed. If your area is underneath load, you will be deprioritized under people that have not been or that have not gone over their data cap. Now, that being said, you can purchase, and I'd have to double check these figures, but I think it's you can purchase a gig at a time of data once you go above your limit. So I'm not going to quote the price on it because I'm not 100% sure on it. I'll get that information, and maybe next meeting we can talk about it, since the data cap will be in place or allegedly be in place. But I can say that I've been using Starlink streaming television, only television. We don't have any other TV service in our house, on 3 different TVs the entire month, and we have not gone over about 650 gigs of data. So we're close to the 1 terabyte, but we still have plenty of breathing room. And that includes also some major game updates and things like that that have come out that have needed to be updated. So I think for the normal household working from at home, streaming video, that the 1 terabyte data cap is not unreasonable. But people that are, excessively using the internet or whatever, it could pose problems. But there is a way that you can purchase more data and prioritize data if you want. There's also a way that you can change your internet habits. So with our gaming systems that we have here in the house, we do not update them until after 11 o'clock, because after 11 o'clock, it's free data time. So anything after 11 o'clock at night does not count towards your data cap. So that's when we try and do some of our major updates on video games and things like that, so it doesn't take away from our 1 terabyte. Any questions?
Just a couple, Jason. If you go to the Starlink site, when is it saying that they'll be expanding into this area?
I think it still says 2020, late 2023. Let me look real quick. I just had it up and clicked off of it because I was trying to find the price. It says expanding in 2023.
Okay.
And that's literally most anywhere from east or the middle of Kansas east, all the way down to Florida, to Texas, Michigan, Wisconsin. That whole area is basically saying, it's on a wait list and it's expanding sometime in 2023. The middle of the United States is available now, except for a couple small pockets in Colorado, and northern or north United States up to Maine, even up into Canada, are all available now. So basically from New York and New Jersey, places like that are actually available now.
All right. Thank you, sir. Because we do have questions about when is it going to be available, or there are still people on the wait list that still did not make it in that first round. So they're still waiting. for for those to go. But it's still growing, it's still expanding, there's still shipping, and it still works. So
and I did verify my price. I wanted to verify it before I stated it, but once you go past 1 terabyte, for every gig after that you would like to, purchase the prioritized speed, it's a 25 cents for every gig. So 4 gigs, $1 basically. So.
All right. Are we ready for 2023 updates?
Yeah, David, go ahead and give us the information on 2023.
So 2023, again, the website still says that it would be announced in December of last year. It has not been announced. Jason Barlow and I joked that it says December, maybe it meant 24, but we hope it's not going to be that long. There are some indications that those announcements may be made here in the very near future. So we're hoping within the next few weeks. And if we scroll down just a little bit, it's weird because when I share my screen, it takes my scroll bar away for a while. Maybe by March the 20th, we'll know more. Again, we mentioned this last time. If we hear results, then we'll let everyone on the committee know and see about getting a meeting before that March 20th meeting. But as of right now, there's been no announcement from DHCD as far as that project. I have not spoken with Verizon that would be doing the FiOS west of 95 if the project's successful. I haven't spoken with them in a bit, but I do know that BreezeLine is already preparing. Also, BreezeLine is working ahead doing the engineering study for the area that was covered by RDOF. So that's like down in the Sparta Central Point passing area. They're starting to work on the engineering and all for that. So that would be rolled into 2023 if we're successful, but if not, that construction will move forward on its own. So, all right, sir.
All right. Anybody have any questions on that? And David, I did look on the VADI website, and the timeline does have months with dates, but no year to it. So, maybe like you said, 2023, 2024, late December anticipated announcement of awards. So we'll see. All right. Anybody have any questions or comments on the 2023 VADI grant? All right. Hearing none, we'll go on over, or let me make sure that nobody else has any old business that we didn't tack on here, or anything anybody wanted to talk about.
I have something to talk about new business, so let's go to that.
All right. Well, let's go transition into new business.
Can I share screen as well? David has to stop share. There we go. Start share screen 1. I had perused the state budget 2023 for broadband items and found the following. And I was trying to dig any clues out of this, right? And you see that there's amendments in the House and the Senate, but it's the things that we expected, right? They're going to authorize DHCD to use federal funding from the BEAD program, then DHCD to use VADI administrative funding and federal broadband funds to support localities and others in permitting in the siting of broadband projects supported with VADI funds, American Rescue Plan funds, and the funds Virginia receives for broadband from the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. So these are all good things, right? We do find a little bit of numbers further down, right? What was this? The LECAP line extension customer assistance program, $8 million would be used for construction grants to extend existing broadband networks, and then we also see another mention of LECAP $8 million and then 16 million from ARPA. And then if you go further down in each of the budget amendments, which I don't know how that all works, and someone can interrupt me here, but there was one interesting piece here. This amendment ensures DHCD can deploy federal resources it receives from newly created Broadband Equity, Access, and Deployment BEAD program, and authorizes a position for DHCD in deploying those funds. So that's a new job at VADI, right? At minimum, Virginia is expected to receive at least $100 million in broadband funding from this program. So that's a interesting number. You know, and just to speculate on VADI 23, right? We were hoping, we had heard a rumor that BEAD funding would go into the grants for this past cycle. We don't know what's going on, you know, behind closed doors, but maybe this is a good thing.
So not to go too deep in the weeds, the BEAD money that they're talking about is what's probably more than likely holding up the announcement of this year's project.
Gotcha.
The state has already set aside in their budget about $50 million. The question is going to be, this federal money could not go to states unless they had a department set up to distribute it. So in these amendments are basically setting up DHCD to be the recipient of the BEAD money. Mm-hmm. Now, the BEAD money is awarded based on states that have the most need. And it's awarded based on the FCC map, service map. So the states that have the most unserved locations will get a larger portion of the money. Problem is that when the FCC maps came out in December of last year, there were 330,000 roughly houses in the state of Virginia that were shown according to FCC to have service that did not. So Virginia DHCD filed a contest against that map saying that it's not accurate, 330,000 houses, which, you know, that could affect quite a bit. I'm hearing numbers well above the 100 million is what they actually expect to get. So the number's going to be large. The question is how many unserved and what percentage of that BEAD funding Virginia will get. So that's what's more than likely holding up the award. I know that last year and in 2021, what they did was they actually did almost like a two-step award. Well, last year, not so much, but in 2021, the year we were successful, they did a two-step award where there was some federal money that was used. They awarded the Virginia money, and then a month or two later awarded the remaining federal money. So we're being told that this year could look like that. So we may actually see a two-step award, more so than what they did last year, where all the money was in and they just made one single award for everybody. So that's the reason why we're not hearing as of yet. So it's good information. Jason, I wasn't aware that all that many amendments. I know they had to be set up. Virginia was designated very early to use the DHCD and VADI program to award, which I guess is hopeful in a way, because the states are more efficient at being able to identify the need closer to home. The fact that the federal BEAD money has been awarded a year and a half, and I don't think a dime of it's moved yet, is an indication of how inefficient the federal government is in you know, running the getting this money out there. So the states are more efficient. They're coming down to the states. Our state's already set up to receive it. It's just a matter of what percentage we're going to get.
Right. Thank you for that update.
Well, I'm looking at it for the 2023 ask that we have in our file or our request to VADI for all of Caroline County would be $8.478 million. So it's a lot less than what we asked for in the previous year. So hopefully that will help us, be successful in the 2023 grant once it gets awarded.
Yeah, and I think we've done a good job of identifying, unserved houses, and so I don't know of any large pockets that we've missed. So I think we should be very well covered if when that happens. I would like to take just a moment though, and I know a lot of the committee's not here tonight. It is a holiday. We appreciate you guys for coming on a holiday. But again, I went ahead and set out those invites so we know now, what day for sure, and then we can work around holidays or whatever. But I would like to thank the members of this committee for their hard work that made 2021 possible. 2021, this committee had a lot of input into that application, even more so in the 2023 application, and it was a lot of hard work and a lot of hours. Jason Barlow and Jason Jacobus put in a lot of hours helping grade those RFP returns, and I think we did a good job. Just looking at the quality of the application, you guys. I think the work and time and effort that we put in. So we remain hopeful at this point. But again, thanks to this entire committee, the Caroline Board of Supervisors, Breezeline, and VADI, Department of Housing and Community Development, for making that 2021 project possible.
I second that. I think it's been, and all the work that you do too, David, behind the scenes, getting everything lined up and keeping us all on track and, keeping the ball rolling is definitely, you're definitely doing good works, and everybody appreciates it.
Well, thank you, sir. It's definitely, it is part of my job. Not my entire job, but a good portion of it now. Actually, it's probably timing now. If the project were to start, it's good that 21 is finished up so that we only have one major construction project going on at the same time. It would have been rough to have the 21 and then the 23 on top of it, but I would have loved to have had it happen. If that was my worst problem, I would have been happy, but we're ready for 23 now. We learned a lot from 21. We learned a lot about what it's like to manage one of those projects. And so we're ready for whatever comes next.
Awesome. All right. Does anybody else have any questions or anything, any other new business they want to bring up? All right. Hearing none. David, you said you sent out the dates for the meeting going forward?
Yes, I made that a recurring meeting for the third Monday of every month, which puts our next meeting March the 20th, 2023 via YouTube at 7 p.m.
That sounds good.
And we'll stick with that. And if something comes up, let us know. And we can move it wherever we need to, but I figured it might be easier, to give everybody an idea down the road when those dates hit. So you should have a recurring meeting invite for the third Monday of each month.
All right. Well, does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'd move that we adjourn.
All right. Do I have a second? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, I'll leave you in charge of the meeting.
Thanks. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everybody.